Welcome back. We know Dizi flute, which is a Chinese traditional flute, and it has a very unique sound to it. The reason why it makes that sound is it has a vibrating membrane between the two registers, and it picks up the frequencies from the flute, and then it adds an additional high frequency tone to the basic tone or the frequencies of the flute and creates a unique sound. The question is, can we take a bansuri and turn it into a Dizi flute? I want to work with this bansuri, which is of experimental quality, and so I can tamper with it and then conduct my experiments on it. This is what this bansuri sounds like. Now, I've already made a hole on this bansuri for my thumb hole experiment. So I already have this hole, and so I want to reuse that same hole to turn this into a Dizi flute and see how that works. A Dizi flute is a Chinese traditional flute, which is made of bamboo or wood, and it has a hole here and here after your tone holes right here, which is always closed with a thin membrane. And there are specific Chinese names for that membrane, and you can always buy a set of that membrane and the corresponding glue and everything on Amazon, for example, and they sell it so that you can replace that membrane on a Dizi flute. And now what I want to do is, I don't have that Dizi flute membrane, I did not buy one, but I want to do an experimental membrane on this and see how that works. So to do that, I've taken this thin film. It's actually a cling wrap, a food wrap, which is plastic and very thin. Typically sticks electrostatically to itself or other plastic things. So I'm going to use this and then stick on top of this and then see how this is going to vibrate or pick up the frequencies of the bansuri. With your membrane kit, you actually get a membrane which is suitable for this purpose, and also it has certain ribs in it, and which are to be aligned with the longitudinal dimension of the flute. And you would get a sort of glue material with the kit you buy. And now I'm using just simple glue, and so I'm going to apply it like this, then hold it on one side and stretch a little bit on the other side, making sure that I don't put any glue on it, because if I put glue on it, it can prevent it from vibrating. So don't want to do that. On the other hand, what I understand it is that it's also not recommended to stretch it tight, because if you stretch it too tight, then it won't have any ability to vibrate, and then it won't produce any additional frequencies. So somewhere in between, not too tight, not too loose, but you cannot let any air escape through that. That is for sure. You have to prevent any sort of air escaping from that. Okay, I've done some sort of sticking here just on an experimental basis. If I were to do it right, I would do it with a real Dizi flute membrane. And let's see what this sounds like. To make the two sounds very clear, the difference between the two sounds very clear, I'm going to play this same tune successively without using the membrane and with using the membrane, so you can see the stark contrast between the two tones. So this is without using the membrane, because I'm going to place my thumb on this thumb hole. That's the first one. Now I've taken my finger off the membrane, and let's see what that sounds like. You see the difference? So if you remember in your childhood, you may have done this, like take thin films and then put it in between your lips and then blow on it, and then it'll vibrate, and then tickle your entire mouth, right? This is that sort of thing where it's actually picking up the frequencies and creating a very high frequency sound addition to the basic sound of the flute. And in a way, if you look at it, what we've done is we've taken a good flute, right? Its body was solid, and then we created an imperfection by creating a hole in it. Now, if you close that hole, then it's as good as the full-bodied flute. And if you close that hole with your finger, it's one thing because then there is nothing vibrating there. But if you close that same hole with this thin membrane, it's another thing because now this membrane is vibrating and it's adding a high frequency sound to the other frequencies of this flute, creating that specific and unique tone that's like a Dizi flute. And with this bansuri, this material, and this construction, it may have created a tone that's even unique to this bansuri and not even exactly like a Dizi. However, the sound is very unique and very interesting and could be used in very special situations. Thanks for watching.